But it's the reality that that God cuts things away from our lives, cuts things out of our lives even, when he's adding to us. God multiplies by subtracting. And because we don't understand this prophetic and spiritual principle, it takes us a long time to figure it out. Many times when we are in the grips of our greatest season, when we are, I promise you, when you are on the brink of just an explosion of growth, an explosion of increase, an explosion of success, it is right before you see the manifestation of that it seems like things that you thought would have been a constant for the rest of your life are cut away. It's like God begins to eliminate things, and in your natural mind you become frantic, you become maybe even despondent, maybe disheartened, maybe even unbelieving to a certain extent. And then all of a sudden, right out of that season comes forth the greatest explosion of manifestation you've ever seen. I have seen this happen in my life multiple times. And for the first 3, 4, 5 times you go through this cycle of elimination, you know, it's like you're I don't know, you're like daydreaming. You can't believe it. You're caught up, you're emotional. Then God opens up the world for you, opens the heavens over you. And then you're like, oh God, this is what you've been doing all the time. And then after a while, you begin to, you're no longer a novice. Then you begin to understand the spiritual cycles. And you begin to understand whenever you begin to see seasons in your life where God takes things away, you then begin to know that something's getting ready to break. Something's getting ready to open up. Something's getting ready to explode. Let me bring you to the scripture, if you don't mind going with me tonight. Invite some people to come in. Invite some more people to come in. If you look in John chapter 15, I'll start at verse 1. It says, Jesus says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, or prunes it, or cuts it back, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now, here's the first thing you got to understand. Here's the first thing you have to understand about your life. Listen to this very well. This is the first thing you have to understand about your life and God. God is really not as concerned about your being comfortable. He's not really that concerned about your being comfortable as much as he is concerned about your being fruitful. God will make you uncomfortable if your discomfort will produce fruitfulness. See, you're more concerned with being comfortable when the reality is that God has put you here to be fruitful. And you notice the text says, when one does not bear fruit, he takes it away, he digs it up, he gets rid of it. He moves it off of the field. He doesn't allow it to take up soil or space. But one that bears fruit, he cuts away at it, he purges it or prunes it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Pruning is a painful experience. When God begins to cut away things that you've grown accustomed to. You've grown accustomed to this branch. And now all of a sudden, you feel like I'm doing good, I'm bearing fruit, and God begins to cut stuff away. And it's like, why are you doing this to me when I'm bearing fruit? But you have to understand that the process of growth is that something has to be eliminated to give birth to more. Now watch this. And this is what I was meditating on. God purges or prunes or cuts away at a few things. And at the top of the list, when you're in a season where God is getting ready to, listen to this very well and allow this to soak into your spirit before you go to sleep tonight. When you're in a season where you're fruitful, but now God says, I want to elevate you. I want you to bring forth more fruit. The first thing he will cut away at is relationships. You have to understand this. If you do not understand what I'm saying to you right now, it can drive you out of your mind, because you'll be left wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why am I being rejected? And you have all of these emotions and all of these feelings about people who you thought were going to go the distance with you, who are no longer here. And it'll turn into bitterness, it'll turn into resentment, when the reality is that in most cases, when our lives are in increase mode and simultaneously people are falling off, it's not necessarily that they walked out of your life as much as it is that God put them out of your life. It is not so much that they are bad people because they're gone. It's just that they were not right for the next level. There are very few relationships in your life that are designed to go all the way. Most relationships at some point have an expiration date. And when you get to the point where you have surpassed individuals, God moves them off of the scene. Now watch this. Most of the time, God has to move them off of the scene because he knows that we are not strong enough to put them off of the scene. So many times he doesn't even consult with you. He'll just move them out of your life. You don't even understand why. You don't get it. You're trying to figure out, and all of a sudden there's this explosion of growth around your life. And you're thinking that this person should have been here, like Abraham or Abram thought that he was supposed to have Lot with him. As long as he had Lot with him, he could not move to the next level. Lot caused him nothing but problems. Until finally he had enough and he said, you go your way, I'll go mine. And when Abram got rid of Lot, then the blessings of God really opened up over Abram's life. So you have to understand that God will eliminate relationships at every next dimension. God will eliminate relationships. Now, when you understand this, now listen to this very well. When you understand this, there are a few things that will happen with you in terms of your maturation, your growth, your maturity. When people just want to walk out of your life for no real clear reason, just overnight, for some reason they want to go, you don't beg them to stay anymore. Because when people are prompted to leave your life for no known reason, you have to view this as God moving them out of your life. So you learn to accept people leaving your life, and you let them leave. You don't beg them to stay. You don't try. You make it easy for them to leave. The second thing you do is, when you understand this, is that you don't harbor ill will or bitterness for people when they leave. Because as soon as they walk out, if you really go inside and pay attention to what God is doing, every time somebody's walked out of your life, God has promoted you. Now, you've not been able to really enjoy the promotion because the enemy has always kept you focused on who left your life. rather than what God was depositing into your life. And you're more hung up on the relationship that expired, so much so that you're blinded to the amazing favor of God that is presently upon your life that they were not equipped to participate in. There's some of you right now who are in the grips of great promotion, but you're so despondent about a relationship that expired that God really doesn't care anything about. God is more concerned with your fruitfulness than he is with your little, your little friendships or whatever this was you had going on. And God says, you can't bring this with you. I was trying to leave, I forget what city it was. And I got to the airport too late, but I had this big bag. I had this massive bag, and it was too late to check the bag. And I had valuables in the bag, so I couldn't leave the bag. And at the same time, I couldn't put the bag on or carry the bag on. And there are a lot of you, your relationships are kind of like that. God has already purchased your first class ticket to destiny. But you're trying to bring this oversized bag with you that God has not cleared for you to check it. And you cannot bring it on board. And rather than catching your flight, you're sitting there depressed over the bag. You got to learn to leave the bag and catch your flight. Everybody can't go. You have some people that you can check, some people that you can't check. You got some people you can carry on. Even if you carry them on, you got to put them overhead. And you got some that you can keep and just sit it up under the seat in front of you. Y'all know about flying. Everybody can't go. Sometimes God, oftentimes, just about all the time, when you're moving to the next level, God eliminates relationships. The second thing you will find God eliminating on a regular, when you're in the grips of increase, promotion, expansion, another thing you will find God eliminating from your life are responsibilities. You cannot go to the next level and keep doing everything you're doing now. And see, there's some of you who are addicted to your responsibilities. You're addicted to your roles. You're addicted to your little titles. And the reality is that while you're holding on to all of this minor stuff, God is trying to cut that stuff away from you and eliminate that stuff because he's trying to bring you into the next dimension. You can't go to the next level and still have your hands. You can't go to the penthouse and still have your hands in basement affairs. God will give those responsibilities to somebody else. And every level you increase to, God will cut back responsibilities. Like there's certain things in my life right now that I've given up control of. Some of y'all are control freaks. You limit yourself when you are a control freak or when you are a micromanager. You limit yourself. You box yourself into a smaller place than God intended. Because when God increases you, he will also eliminate certain responsibilities that are beneath the level that he's bringing you to. So when people call me and ask me to do X, Y, and or Z, I don't know my schedule. I don't even try to remember my schedule. I have 2 or 3 people that know my schedule. And they keep my calendar. And I call and say, well, what's up? What's up with this? Can I do this? What's best for this? I can't try to control all of that. You got to learn when God increases you, don't try to hold on to all of that stuff from the previous level. God will bring, as God is increasing you, he's moving somebody else up into position to take the previous responsibilities. Do you think I could do what I do if I had to answer the phones, keep the schedule, write the books, mail the books? Come on now. Come on, you got to learn to let go of certain responsibilities. Some of you all are wearing yourselves out unnecessarily. You are supposed to enjoy your elevation, but you can't enjoy it because you won't let go. God is trying to cut these responsibilities away so you can be free to learn and to grow into the next dimension, but you won't let it go. You won't let it go. There's a spirit of insecurity in you that wants to hold on. And that's what it is. It's a spirit of insecurity that wants to hold on to everything. Not understanding that God, when God promotes you, he fires you from the previous level so that he can elevate somebody else into that level. But when you're trying to occupy all of the slots, you kill yourself. That's when the Bible, okay, here you go. Look, listen to this revelation. God says to Joshua, keep the book of the law before you. Don't depart from it. Keep in front of your eyes. Don't turn to the left or the right. I'm paraphrasing. And then you will have good success. If there's good success, there's such a thing as bad success. And when you don't know how to delegate and cut yourself away from previous responsibilities and allow other people to do it, you experience bad success. It's the kind of success that you can't enjoy, and it's the kind of success that will kill you. Literally kill you. So as God is pruning, he's cutting away relationships, and he's also cutting away responsibilities. You're not supposed to do all of that. You're doing too much. That's why you're stressed out. That's why your hair falling out of your head. You are doing too much. That's why you can't make relationships work, because you're not present. You're not present. You refuse to allow God to eliminate the stuff from your life that will allow you to be free to function in the next level, in the next dimension of your life. You do too much. You're doing too much. Too much. And as a consequence, because you won't let go of the mop and the broom, God can't bring you to the stage. You're so busy trying to clean the auditorium up. You don't want to let go of the janitorial responsibilities when God has really set the stage for you. He can't even bring you to the stage. You have a message for the world, but you still holding on to. Third thing that God will eliminate from our lives when he is promoting us is he will eliminate resources. I know that's a scary one there, man. Oh, God. Boy, you talk about a hard one. God will sometimes eliminate resources. He'll eliminate people that bring certain resources that subconsciously we become dependent on. God will just move them out of our lives so that he can prove himself as our Jehovah Jireh. And it's amazing how when God eliminates resources from our lives, it's like you can't even explain how this resource was moved from your life, or these resources were eliminated from your life, but you didn't go down, you went up. It's because when God moves the natural resources, he replaces them with the supernatural source. See, you're swapping the resources for the source, because even the resources get their resources from the source. So God eliminates at a certain point the resources so you can plug directly into the source. And now you realize, while you're scared when you see the resources, see, like for some of y'all, here it is. For some of you, it's a job, and God just closes the job up, and then God won't let you get another job, and then God gives you a vision for business, and then you get scared, but then you don't have no choice, and you got to do it scared, and then it begins to work, and then it begins to thrive, and then it just gets amazing, and then you're like, wow, what if I had never quit my job, or what if my job had never closed down? God had to eliminate the resource to really push you into your ultimate place. Am I helping anybody here tonight? As a pastor, as a pastor, I mean, I've had, over my 30s, I've been in ministry 36 years. I've been pastoring, I think, 30 years, something like that. And I've had members, man, there was a certain point way back in the game where I had one family that represented, their giving represented like 50% of the church's income. And they left. And I'm like, God, what's going to happen? I don't know why they left. I don't think it was on bad terms or anything like that. They just left. But I'm like, God, what's going to happen with this church? I'm a young pastor. I don't know what's going on. Having a whole lot of members, ain't got no money. What's happening? I'm in the hood, so the members of the church ain't really got no money. Got one family that's given 50% of the church's income. Do you not know those people left that church? And the next Sunday, we did not miss a financial beat. In fact, we started increasing. We started increasing. That's why at New Home Family Worship Center, it doesn't make no difference how much money you have, how much money you bring. We don't depend on. God is our source. You're not going to be a big wig at New Home because you're a millionaire. We have a few. We have some. And they handle like any other member. They handle like people on welfare. Because God is our source. But you got to understand that. God will eliminate resources right at the time he's getting ready to because sometimes your resources become almost like a pot. Like you have a plant, you put it in a pot, it can only grow so much. You take it out of the pot, you put it in the ground, the earth, it's limitless. And sometimes when you have those resources you depend on, you become like a potted plant. You can only go so far because you don't have to use your faith. You don't have to use your genius. You don't have to grow because you can depend on these resources. But when God moves those resources, now all of a sudden your spirit ignites, your genius comes forth. I mean, your vision expands. You just begin to see, and you begin to develop on the inside in ways that you never would have developed had God not eliminated the resources. So some of you all are here right now. And I mean, I'm certain that there's some other things, but these are the three that came to mind. Some of you all are here right now where God is eliminating. He's doing all three at the same time. He's eliminating relationships. He's eliminating responsibilities. He's taking titles and responsibilities from you, and you trying to hang on. He's eliminating resources, and you feel like you are, you feel like you're being buried. You feel like you're being forsaken. You feel like it's the end of the absolute natural world. And some of you are mad with God because you can't believe that all of this stuff is happening to me at the same time. Baby, you on the brink of an amazing life that you can't even begin to understand. It takes somebody like me who's been there and done that to look into your life and be able to see really where you are. And if you really could see, like the prophet Elisha, I think it was, his servant, I forget the boy's name, went out and said, prophet, they got an army coming against you, coming against us, getting ready to kill us. And the prophet said, Lord, open that boy's eyes, let him see. He said, go back and look again. He looked again, and his spiritual eyes were open. God pulled the scales off his eyes. He said, oh my God, I see an army of angels. There are more with us than are with them. If you could see in the spirit like I see in the spirit, you would not lose this wonderful sleep you're supposed to get tonight because somebody left, or because certain resources seem to be drying up, or certain responsibilities are being taken from you. Baby, you are just being set up. It's not a setback, it's a setup. you will be able to write me or call me, however you may communicate with me, and tell me how God stepped into your life and has brought you to a place that is absolutely amazing.